Hey moms, if right now you are currently overwhelmed, stressed, exhausted, and feel like every time you try to do something for you, something good for your health, you struggle to get past the thoughts that it's too hard for you, that you're too tired and you've just got too much going on. I want to help you get clear today on what you might actually need that's going to help you to move forward. Maybe you're like many of the moms that I've worked with who feel like, you want to start feeling better, right? Maybe you're dealing with weight gain, maybe you're dealing with low energy, and you're just not feeling good in your body. And it can feel like in those moments, it makes sense that if we just focus on eating better, if we just focus on exercising, if we lose some weight, then at that point, we're going to feel so much better and it's going to take care of a lot of the problems, right? And all will be well. And yes, like I really believe that as a trainer and as a nutrition specialist, yes, this is very true. However, over the past couple of years working specifically with special needs moms and going through this myself, I have seen again and again with my clients that just trying to start with these things, it doesn't always work. It doesn't always work. And think about this, like why, if you're here and you keep starting different diets and then you just keep failing, or you promise yourself that you're going to clean up your eating, and you keep coming up against resistance and struggling with that, or maybe you're struggling to get started with exercise. You know that this is good for you, but every time you go, it's just like there's this resistance that you can't make the choice to do that. Or you keep grabbing sugar or alcohol or snacks whenever you're dealing with big emotions, right? This happens all the time for us. Our kids are having tantrums or, having a big emotional episode, and all of a sudden, we're triggered by that. And it's, if you grab for food, like that's a very common thing. Maybe you get a new diagnosis, or you get a report that your child is like just not progressing the way that you had thought. You go to an IEP meeting, you have a teacher meeting, you talk to the therapist, and all of these things that we deal with as moms raising kids with additional needs that are additional triggers and additional stressors. In these moments, you may be telling yourself that you just need to try harder, right? You need to have more willpower, that maybe you're just not strong enough to, withstand like all these emotional situations and say no to the food, or just, willpower you're way into the workout. But I want to tell you today that I don't think you have a willpower issue. I can actually almost guarantee that what you have going on is a nervous system problem. Your nervous system, when you get this sorted out, willpower is no longer an issue. Because if your nervous system is out of balance and your emotions are in the driver's seat, it is practically impossible to make the right decision. So I want to explain that to you today so you understand, because I think knowledge is power. You know better, then you can start to do better, and give you some simple solutions for how you can start to regulate your nervous system. So when our nervous system is triggered and turned on, there is a hormonal response that happens in our body. If you've not heard of cortisol, today's your day. Cortisol is our stress hormone. And whenever we're presented with fear or difficulties or stress, anxiety, overwhelm, all of these things that are difficult in our life, our body produces this hormone cortisol. And this does a few things in our brain and in our body. And I want to teach you today about your limbic system. The limbic system is a part of your brain that is your emotional brain, right? This is where when we get triggered into fight or flight because of stress or struggles, or just, big emotional responses, our limbic system is the one that holds on to fear and responds in that fight or flight. So I'm going to use my hand to kind of show you this to help you see how this works in our brain. Imagine that my thumb is the limbic system, and we don't actually want our limbic system in control, because this is where we are just emotionally responding to things. You know, your kid starts bothering you and you just emotionally explode at them, or you find yourself, you know, mentally shutting down and just, you know, that feeling. I'm sure you do. And so we have this other part of our brain, which is our frontal lobe. And the frontal lobe, we're going to imagine those are these 4 fingers. This is our thinking brain. This is like when we're on. We're making all the good decisions. We are organized. We have self-control. We are planning things out. We are doing the things that we know are best for us. And so your brain at its best is going to be in this position. Your frontal lobe is in charge, and you know, you're making the good decisions. When you get to this place, guys, it is not hard to choose to exercise. This is not hard to choose to eat well, because you know that this is best. However, what happens when stress comes along, any type of stressor, is your frontal lobe turns off and your limbic system is now in the driver's seat, and we are responding emotionally to things. And this is where we lose control. And so the key to getting past and getting regulated with our nervous system is learning how to turn back on that frontal lobe and getting your body to learn how to not so quickly jump into that emotional response and get this regulation. And so what we call this is like flipping the lid, right? And people who deal with anxiety, people who have been through trauma, our nervous system becomes actually like hyper aroused. And so we just become more quick to shut off that thinking brain and move into this feeling brain, this reactionary stress response. Interestingly enough, I have learned this recently, that people with ADHD also really easily, you know, this part of their brain is not functioning very well, which is, you know, an interesting side note if you deal with that as well. And so after trauma, you become hyper aroused, and your brain, I mean, you can be triggered by the smallest thing that reminds you of the stress that you've experienced in trauma, and just pop right into this very, very quickly. And I want to clarify, with trauma, there are different types of trauma that can cause this in our brain. The big T trauma, where it's like that one-time traumatic event, you witness an accident, you witness a death, you are attacked. These are big T traumas, but also trauma happens over repeated small traumatic things. This can be abuse. It can be, you know, watching somebody suffer with their health. And I really feel strongly that a lot of us as special needs moms have either been through a big T trauma or are experiencing lots of little T traumas in our life, raising kids with special needs. And we are just more prone to having anxiety, depression, stress. We've been talking about this over the last few weeks. And our brains are just hardwired to flip very quickly into this emotional, reactionary place. I saw a statistic actually recently that women, about 50% of women are likely to experience trauma throughout their life. And I just really think that that's way higher in our special needs mom community. I hope somebody does research on this eventually. I haven't found it yet, if they are. But this is very true in my life as well. When I found out that I had PTSD, I was dealing with anxiety, I was dealing with stress, I was dealing with extreme levels of tension in my body. Maybe you feel this, just aches, pains, soreness all the time from carrying tension, living in this very protected, stressed place. I was overwhelmed, I was burnt out, I was exhausted, and I was experiencing these really strong emotional reactions like what I was telling you about. And this happened to me after my son was born. He had a birth diagnosis of Down syndrome, and he was also born with a rare disease. And that was a challenging event, but I wouldn't necessarily, call that like a traumatic event. But what happened after that was very traumatic. We have experienced did experience just a series of medical crisis after medical crisis in his life, with a couple of really difficult experiences where we just didn't know what was going on. He was suffering. His body wasn't doing what it needed to do. The doctors couldn't tell us what. And I don't want to go further because I don't want to trigger any of you that are also dealing with medical complications. But dealing with all of this and dealing with not having the support that I needed, being in a foreign country, after all of that, I was diagnosed with PTSD. And getting to that place actually took me a while, because what happened before that was that I was racked with guilt, shame, and feeling like I needed to just do better. I am a fitness professional. I have been in fitness for a very long time. What was going on with my body, I did not understand. My energy levels, I didn't understand. My cravings, and just binge, or I can't call it anything else except like binge eating, and just emotionally going out of control. And this was all very shameful for me. And I know that some of you are dealing with this. And this is why, after coming through everything that I have experienced and the healing that I have experienced and getting to where I am now, I am so passionate about sharing this with other moms, so that if you are in that place of just feeling the guilt and the shame, that you know that you don't have to stay there, right? This isn't your fault, and there is a way forward. So medicine, right? Medicine can help. I know I've talked to lots of moms dealing with anxiety and depression and all of that are on medication. I think that's great. It is a great way, but I think we also need to work on actually healing and restoring our nervous system, because this can be done. And over long term, this is what is actually going to bring the healing to our mental health, which opens the door to actually restoring your physical health. So how do we regulate our nervous system? How do we get our brain to stay in this place longer instead of flipping and going into that emotional stress, fight or flight response all the time? So we can actually do things. We know from research that we can actually do things to calm down this limbic system, so that the emotional response is not as strong in us when we face stressors and triggers. So there's 4 things that we can do here. The first one is practicing mindfulness. If you're not familiar with this, this is basically helping bring your awareness into the present moment. Noticing how you feel, noticing where you are in time and space, whereas our brain is often just going all over the place when we're dealing with stress and anxiety and overwhelm. Right? It can feel really hard just to focus. So this feels like reconnecting with your body and being mindful of where you are, how you're feeling, and what's going on with you. The second thing that's incredibly powerful is meditation and deep breathing, because our nervous system actually connects down into our stomach and our gut. And when we learn to breathe deeply and slow down our breathing, it actually triggers a release of these anti-stress hormones and really quickly can calm down your nervous system. And the more that you practice that deep breathing, the better your system becomes at regulating that stress response. So mindfulness, meditation and breathing, movement and exercise is another one. And this, I talk about this all the time. If you have been in my world as a fitness coach, I love talking about how exercise and movement helps us to manage stress. And the final one is music. Music really connects to that emotional part of our brain and helps to regulate this. So listening to music, or if you have instruments, this is another great way to do that. And interestingly enough, there is one thing that you can do that wraps up and contains all 4 of these regulating, healing, and restorative things for our nervous system. And that is yoga. If you're here watching live, let me know if you are somebody who has practiced yoga or are currently practicing yoga, because this is truly one of the best ways to start to learn how to heal and regulate your nervous system, because in yoga, you practice mindfulness. It's very much about paying attention to how you're feeling and noticing your body and being present in the moment. We work on deep breathing as well as meditation. You are moving your body. Different types and different styles of yoga have you move differently, but regardless, you're moving and getting that release of stress and tension from your body. And music, you get to enjoy and listen to calming music, and it is just an amazing, healing, soothing response in your body. And so my favorite, I've been practicing yoga for about 12 years, and I've been teaching yoga for 6 years. And I have discovered the power of restorative, gentle yoga. And this is a slower paced yoga that is very accessible to different fitness levels, from beginner to, advanced. It's great. And it's a slow paced yoga, and we focus on just slowing down and releasing tension from our body. And so if you are thinking about starting yoga, starting with some type of gentle restorative yoga is going to give you the best starting point, as well as give you the best healing experience for your nervous system. And I am really excited to announce that I'm finally bringing yoga online. This is not something that I have done before. I've focused more on the fitness and nutrition portion of health. And so starting next week, I have a 6-week Mom Restore yoga course that is going to be available. We will be doing some live sessions, but everything will be recorded, because I know that time is often a struggle, and schedules and juggling all of that is so hard for special needs moms. And what we're going to do over these 6 weeks is nothing short of healing you, truly giving you as mom this restorative time for you to come back and get connected with yourself, to restore your nervous system, find a really deep sense of calm for your mind and for your body. And you're going to walk away from that 6 weeks feeling like you have, in a lot of ways, healed that stress response. It's very incredible how quickly this happens when you start practicing this regularly. And then I know at that point, if you have goals to work on improving your nutrition and, be in a regular exercise program, that you at that point are going to be ready to do that, because you will have empowered yourself with that foundation that we all need as special needs moms before we try to just willpower our way into health. So if you are here, if you're watching this live or on replay, and this is something that is speaking to you, and you are really curious to know if yoga is something that is going to be helpful for you, I want to give you an invitation to join me for this course. We're going to kick off next week. And I have a link that I can share with you if you want to see some more details about what that is going to entail, and get signed up for that so you can get involved in live sessions or get access to the replays. Leave a comment here. Let me know. I will reach out and connect with you. We do have a limited number of spaces in there just to make sure that I'm able to connect and serve all the moms that are going to come in. So let me know. I will send you that link. And if you have any questions, or if this has just resonated with you and you want to share any of your journey here, or maybe even how you have used yoga to help heal you and your stress and your nervous system, let me know, because I love celebrating you and just hearing your stories. All right, so you guys have a fabulous Wednesday. Oh, also on Friday, as often as I can, I try to get in and do a free Friday fitness session with you guys. This Friday, we're actually going to do a short 15-minute restorative yoga session, so that if you're curious and you want to know maybe how it's going to feel and test this out before committing to the 6 weeks, there will be a shorter restorative yoga session happening on Friday. So keep an eye out for that. That will be coming in the Facebook group soon. All right, moms, I'm cheering you on. I want you to know that I believe in your ability to be healthy. It doesn't always look the same as what we expect it's going to be. But when we find out the root causes of what's going on with us, it's just so healing and so empowering to be able to move out of that place of guilt and shame and actually take action steps that are going to work for you with where you are right now. So I hope you'll join me if that is what you need right now in this 6-week yoga course. You guys have a fabulous rest of your Wednesday. I'll be back to chat with you soon.